In this video, I want to talk a little bit about how to use mid-side processing. Now, I'm sure you already know what a stereo track is. You've got two channels, left and right. So this is one way that you can split up an audio file. But there is another way, and that is mid-side processing. The easiest way to explain mid-side is to demonstrate it. So let's jump over to Logic. I've got a guitar panned left, guitar pan right. I've got a bass in the center and a stereo drum kit. So what I'm going to do here is pull up a meter from T-Rax so we can see what's going on. So if I hit play again, these four, left, right, mid, side, show you the makeup of the audio. So you can just look at left and right, or you can also look at mid and side. So it's often said that the mid channel is everything that's in the center and the sides are everything not in the center, but that's not 100% accurate. The real way to think about it is the mid is left plus right channel and the sides are left minus right channel. And how do you minus a channel? Well, you invert the polarity. Mid is sometimes called the sum and the side is sometimes the difference. And mid-side processing is usually done in mixing and in mastering. So the key thing to take away from mid-side so far is that as well as it being about placement in the stereo field, whether it's in the center or whether it's hard panned, it also matters what the polarity of the audio files are. Let me show you. Hit play. You can see mid-side stuff happening and you can see left and right stuff happening. What happens if we take the left and right stuff, the guitars? Sometimes people wrongly state that the side channels is everything that's not in the center, but that statement alone isn't true because look, we've got left and right hard pan guitars and we see them on the mid and also the side. So the reason that this is because stuff that is hard panned, they are 50% split between the center channel and also the side channel. Now let's take a listen to the bass. Because the bass is panned central and it's a mono track, it has only got mid information in there. If we pan it to the left, now you've got some mid and side. Hopefully that's starting to make sense. And drum kit, same thing again, it's a stereo kit. There's left and right information. Pan it to the left. Now you've got some side. Got some side. So put it all together, you should see mid and side because you've got the mid channels and you've got the side channels. Okay, so we've got two different ways of monitoring something. We've got two ways of processing audio. We can either go left on right. So for instance, say if I've got an EQ here, I can, with the Logic EQ, say, take out everything that's in the left. So you've got no left material there. Obviously I wouldn't be cutting this extremely, but you could say you wanted to get rid of a bit of harshness in the guitar and it was in the right guitar only, and you could cut that out of just the right side only. But what you could also do is now, let's say we cut all of the side stuff out. And now you've got a very narrow sounding track, which could be good. You might want that for some things. Or if we take the mid out, so you've got a more spacey kind of sound because you've gotten rid of all of everything that's dead center. You're just left with what's at the sides, which is the guitars. You've taken away 50% of that guitar that was also in the center. So you've just left with the 50% that's at the sides. And you've got a little bit of reverb as well, which is from the drums. So you can hear you've got a lot more spacey sound by getting rid of the mid. So this is how we can actually use it. We can change that balance between, you know, if you push the sides up, you're going to get a spacier sound. So that's one way that you can use mid-side EQ. For instance, you might want to actually, rather than cut it out, you might want to boost that kind of maybe mid to high frequencies. Obviously it's getting a bit louder, but it sounds like it's coming out the speakers a bit more. So that's a cool little trick you can do. Obviously, you have to be careful with this. You don't want to overdo it. Anytime you do boost that side channel, you are going to be shifting the phase of the sound, assuming you're not in linear phase mode on your EQ, which might create problems. So it's always good when you're working with mid-side processing to check how it sounds in mono, and we can do that as well. This direction mixer works as a mid-side encoder as well. So I can have it left-right, or I can put it over to mid-side. If I make that spread 0 and have it bang in the center, now we're just going to hear mid only. And this is what it sounds like. If you pull this spread out, you just hear the sides, and you can see that confirmed in the meter. Bypass it. And that's sounding a bit wider, a bit more spacey, and that sounds quite cool. Just have to be careful with the phase, as I mentioned before. Like, here is the phase meter that you can see on this TR5 metering. While it's in the positive end up here, that's fine. Just be careful it's not buzzing around down there, because if it then does get converted to mono, then you're going to get phase cancellation and stuff will disappear. Be aware of that. Side, and when it's side, you can see it's kind of like left to right on that axis. Mono is up and down, so very narrow, very wide. So when would you actually use this? As I said, most likely it will be when you're mixing and mastering stuff. So if you're just given, say, a stereo track to master, then you might need to get at certain material that you can't get at through left and right or through the stereo. Okay, so here are some points to remember: that the mid channel, also called the sum, is the left plus the right channel. The side channel, also sometimes called the difference, is the left channel minus the right channel. And when I'm talking about minusing a channel, I'm talking about inverting the polarity 180 degrees. And normally when you're using a stereo imager or any sort of imaging effect, it's kind of adjusting that balance between mid-side. Another thing to remember is when you are using EQ in mid-side mode, you have to be aware that it can shift the phase. So it's best to use linear phase mode on your EQ, like if you're using FabFilter Pro Q. So when you are using mid-side EQ, remember to check how it sounds in mono. If you've done way too much, you might find that when you sum it to mono, key elements of your track disappear. Remember as well, when you're making adjustments to the mid channel, it affects everything. When you're changing stuff in the side channel, it is affecting everything that is not in dead center. I hope this gave you a little introduction, a little bit of an overview about using mid-side. We mainly touched on EQ, but you can also apply this for saturation, compression. There's a lot you can do with this, but it is generally a bit more of an advanced approach that mixing and mastering engineers use. Anyway, I hope this was interesting. I hope this helps.